we're getting a new SAO game. So you probably haven't heard much so far because we barely have any news on it, but Sword Art Online variant Showdown, a new trademark has been filed by Kadokawa, the owner of the SAO IP, very recently, and it appears to be a trademark for a new SAO game. Now, I wanted to wait a little before I report on this, just in case if we get something more than a placeholder, not even a logo, it's just the name of the game being written on the trademark filing itself. But we may actually get some new information on this in the first week of March, potentially because there's a Kadokawa Expo going on. That's the best place to expect some sort of announcement slash reveal news or even teases, as little as that. So of course, if you want to get those news when they come, if they come, please do subscribe and hit the like button for more stuff. But Gematsu earlier yesterday has reported that Kadokawa had filed a trademark on Sword Art Online variant Showdown, which is... it sounds like one of those cases that Japan may accidentally romanize it as variant instead of valiant, so that would be really funny. But if we look at the trademark details, we can see it was filed by Kadokawa on February 8th. And again, Kadokawa always files these trademarks while Bandai Namco does the publishing. Although I got some things to say on that as well later down in the video. If you look at the tags, it's very easy to assume it's a smartphone game, but the tags are not all that descriptive. It says CD-ROMs, DVDs, 3D glasses, newsletters, pamphlets, etc., all that kind of stuff. So they are not very descriptive in terms of making an assumption, and I'd recommend you don't make an assumption based on these tags. But it's likely gonna be another mobile game. But what I'm gonna do in this video, because there's not much to talk about specifically as far as we know, we'll talk about possible consequences given certain assumptions. And I want to highlight that bit. These are gonna be personal assumptions based on given possibilities. So let's start with the most likely assumption. This is probably gonna be a mobile game. What would that mean exactly? Well, that means there's gonna be 4 mobile SAO games on the market that are cannibalizing each other, which doesn't sound very healthy for profit making, does it? I mean, we got Sword Art Online Memory Defrag, which is the most cash cow of all the games possible at this point. We got Integral Factor, which is... that's where I have things to say. We got Alicization Rising Steel, which is still going kinda strong, I'd say, especially now that they have license to adapt Moon Cradle, something none of the previous games have done so far, which indicates Moon Cradle probably not gonna get an anime adaptation at this point. But yeah, if this variant Showdown also becomes a mobile game, that's gonna be problematic. So if we're looking at the assumption that this is gonna be a mobile game, chances are one of these 3 already existing games are gonna hit the bucket. And you probably do know which one is the most likely to actually hit that bucket. At this point, Integral Factor is pretty much the one game that does not have that sustained audience retention. Everyone's just jumping back in when there's a new story and jumping back out 2 months later until there's a new story. And with the fact that they are skipping so many floors on the way, chances are they are trying to get Integral Factor to an end sometime next year. We are getting floor 50, if I'm not mistaken, quite soon at this point. We still did not see the screenshot that we have saw in the original teaser where Kayaba / Heathcliff was actually arrested inside the jail, so we still have to see that sometime. But we're at floor 50, we're very close to floor 75, and we are skipping like 5 to 6 floors every single story. So chances are Integral Factor, if variant Showdown is a mobile game, chances are Integral Factor is coming to an end sometime in the next year to make place for this new mobile game. Now, if it's a console game, it still isn't all that great. Because if it's announced to be a console game, there are 2 possibilities. If you look at Alicization Lycoris, that still has a long lifespan to go. We have 2 more free DLCs that are gonna come possibly 2 months apart from each other, so sometime in April and sometime in June, and sometime after that we're gonna get the first paid DLC, which is quite long, so chances are it's gonna be sometime winter 2021 with their current scheduling so far, and then we're gonna have a huge, well, not a huge, but around the same size as the paid DLC one, a DLC 2 that we have absolutely no information about, that has to have something with the War of Underworld tie-in that we had with Supplizer since Fatal Bullet DLC 3 Secret Ending. So Lycoris is still very much ongoing. So chances are, if Variant Showdown is also gonna be a console game, that leaves us with two options. This game either is going to be around like 2 or 3 years after, and if that's the case, we're not gonna hear much at Kadokawa Expo anyways, if anything at all. But on the other side, if we're not gonna wait 3 years for this game to come out, 2 or 3 years, well, that means it's gonna come out during the DLC schedule of Alicization Lycoris, actively cannibalizing Alicization Lycoris. And that is actually a possibility. Don't look funny into the screen like that, because that is exactly what happened with Underworld vs Sword Art Online. Underworld vs Sword Art Online came, if I remember correctly, sometime after the first paid DLC of Hollow Realization and before the second DLC of Hollow Realization, completely screwing up the release schedules of everything. But more importantly, Underworld vs SAO felt more like a cash grab than anything else. They tried to get it out as soon as possible. It was basically an upgraded Lost Song, not even innovated over Lost Song. And in the end, it became a game that was to be completely forgotten. It isn't even part of the SAO gameverse, so it doesn't have any kind of significance on that aspect. But as a game, it was basically character collection simulator over the course of the entire story. So if we're not gonna wait, if this is a console game, and if we're not gonna wait 2 to 3 years for its release, then chances are this is probably gonna be yet another cash grab game just like that. So the best option among all of these mobile and console possibilities is the fact that this is gonna be a console game that we're gonna have in 3 years after the gameverse has concluded. That's pretty much the best option we have to get the best possible game, in my opinion. However, we're going one step ahead now. We're gonna play some 5D chess over here. Now, the trademark has been filed by Kadokawa, while the SAO games publisher is Bandai Namco. This has always been the case. It's Kadokawa who's filing the trademark every single time, but Bandai Namco who's the publisher. But very recently you might have heard some news about Kadokawa and Sony going into a capital alliance. One of the main goals of this capital alliance was that Sony wanted to extend their reach into the anime games. Now, that certainly is an interesting possibility. Could this be that Bandai Namco won't be the publisher of this specific game? Maybe it's gonna be Aniplex who publishes the game, which does actually have precedence, not within the SAO franchise that is, but Fate Grand Order. It's a game published solely by Aniplex, both in Japan and over on the US. So we may be looking at a situation like that if this ends up being a mobile game especially. It may just be Aniplex publishing this new game. And if Bandai Namco is not behind its monetization schemes, we may actually have something as solid as Fate Grand Order, something I have wanted from Alicization Rising Steel, which didn't happen. So yeah, there is actually a silver lining somewhere behind these possibilities, and it's gonna be interesting to see how it's gonna play out. As I said, we got Kadokawa Expo on 6th and 7th of March, where we're gonna have a whole lot more, not a whole lot more, I'm gonna have a separate video on what we can expect from Kadokawa Expo on March 6th and 7th, and Anime Japan 2021 sometime late March. I don't have the date in my mind right now, I'll just edit a text on the screen for you, there you go. But yeah, to not miss my expectations, on what we can expect from Kadokawa Expo as well as Anime Japan, please do hit that subscribe button and stay tuned. I will have another video sometime this Friday talking about my expectations as to what we may be getting from both of those. And thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Huge thanks to my patrons and channel members as always. Stay cool.